Day one of the senior women's InterZonal multi-day tournament was eventful to say the very least. It was a really hot day in the Maharashtra Cricket Association stadium in Pune. First of all, it's on the outskirts of the city, so getting here itself is not easy. It's a little bit in the middle of nowhere-ish, and real sweltering heat today, and it really sort of played a part in how the respective teams, South Zone and East Zone, approached their day on the field today. South Zone, which is led by Minumani, won the toss and elected to bat first. And I mean, initially you think it was a good idea because it was a nice pitch with a lot of green cover here and there. Seemed like it would be a nice little batting track. And when players got going eventually in the day, you saw that the ball was coming on really nicely as well. But Titas Sadhu happened, and within the 14th over of the South Zone innings, she had already taken 4 wickets. We were waiting for her to take her fifth as well, so that it would be a nice way to ring in like a monumental achievement in red ball cricket at the domestic level, but that did not happen. She cleaned up the top four of the South Zone batting order and left a lot of work to be done by Arundhati Reddy with players like Sajana and the rest of the order. Arundhati now, mind you, was coming into this game after needing an IV over the last couple of days. There's been a little bit of a bug going around in the team, maybe because of something that they ate perhaps. And she powered through it and she scored a half century today. And that half century was the difference between them finishing under a score of 100 and them finishing at 133. She stitched some really crucial partnerships, even though they were like 10, 20 runs. She stuck it out. She played more than 100 odd balls and she stuck it out and made sure that they got to a fairly respectable total from where they were in the beginning of this batting effort. As for the bowling card, Titas Sadhu obviously had 4 wickets and Deepti Sharma also ended up with 4 wickets. There were passages of play where she was absolutely unplayable, and more than that, I think what really stood out for me watching from the sidelines here was just how aggressive she was as a captain. The fields were consistently close. She had multiple fielders kept in, especially for players like Arundhati who know and have the skill to actually go out and free their arms and try and hit the ball. So that kind of aggressive captaincy was very, very refreshing from Deepti, and she's been doing it throughout this tournament. So great to watch as somebody who doesn't see her lead very often. That was really nice to watch from Deepti. It gives a little bit of perspective as to how she's thinking as a bowler as well, with the kind of fields that she was setting for these batters. Now, with the batting response from East Zone, it looked like it would go a little differently from what South managed earlier in the day, but Shabnam Shakil, the teenage sensation who was part of Gujarat Giants in the WPL, she took a wicket to dismiss Uma Chhetri, leaving Deepti Sharma and Richa Ghosh to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, these two obviously did stitch a partnership, and Deepti looked the more fluent of the two. I don't know what it is about Deepti in domestic cricket, but when she comes here, it's like she owns the place. There was no nerves, there's no shuffling, there's no unnecessary cautious play. All of this we see of her in international cricket. We didn't see any of that here. Deepti is very much at home in the Test cricket format, in this red ball long form format, and that was evident with both bat and ball today. But she too could only stop her innings at a start because Minumani happened after a while. After 10 overs of pace from Shabnam and Arundhati, after all that exhaustion and buckling down with cramps earlier, she came out and she bowled her quota of 5 overs and she was brilliant. Her lines, she was peppering the ball all around the stumps and she was trying to make life a little difficult for Richa Ghosh. Minumani was absolutely crucial. She took 2 wickets. She dismissed both Deepti and Richa in the span of a couple of overs. And that pegged East Zone back a little bit. But eventually an important partnership between Rizu Saha and Durga Murmu ended up helping the side get past the 100-run mark. It was really funny because it looked like East Zone was taking the momentum away towards the end of day's play. But Sunanda, she finished with a wicket off the very final ball of the day, dismissing Rizu Saha to sort of get the momentum back in South Zone's favour. I was watching from the sidelines, so I was just walking around all over the periphery. One, I was this lone person with the DSLR, so I was spending time clicking pictures for the reserve players who were waiting in the dugout to hand out water and all. It was fun. But what was also fun was to see the sort of camaraderie that both these teams have. South Zone, They had multiple passages of play where they had given away the advantage to East, but you would never hear that dugout silent. Sajna was constantly encouraging the players to keep trying, keep going for one more over, keep trying for that one more wicket. There were whistles when things went right, there were claps when things went wrong. People were there to pat each other on the back. It was incredible to watch. Same way on the East Zone side of things, Saika Ishaq is part of that team, and we know how much flack she got for her fielding during the WPL. And it looks like this outfit has worked on that, because there was a lot more intent from her. The coaches were shouting, yes, this is the intent we want, this is what we want you to do. It was very interesting to see all of those larger talking points also come into play during a tournament like this, which is, I guess, what the purpose of these foundational red ball tournaments are anyway. It was an interesting passage of play today. It was an interesting day, so to speak, very lively. A lot of the players required ice baths and a lot of recovery at the end of the day. It was very hot and there were a lot of dehydrated faces walking around. I am too. I am just surviving on like 8-9 bottles of water, I think, and I'm just going to go and grab something to eat and prep for what is going to come up tomorrow. As of now, South Zone has a lead of about 25 runs, which East Zone should ideally neutralize in the first session itself. But what happens if there's a bunch of bowlers who will come and change the game for South Zone is something that we'll have to wait for day 2 to see. You can catch all of the updates on Sportstar. I've been tweeting from the game, so you can either check out Sportstar's Twitter account or my Twitter account for updates. And of course, there is a match report that's up on the website. We'll link that to this video. Do go and check it out. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.